Welcome back, everyone, to the final credits. Now, you may be wondering, where's Pancakes? Well, unfortunately, we're shy one critic this time. Pancakes is off having a social life. But it is once again opening weekend. That's right. We just came out of seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, directed by Peyton Reed, starring Paul Rudd, Catherine Newton, Jonathan Majors, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and Michelle Pfeiffer. This movie, I've heard a lot of talks going on recently about Marvel maybe losing a misstep here and there. At first I thought, it's all bull, it's Marvel, they know exactly what they're doing. This one, shy of like one or two things, I kind of feel like maybe not a misstep, that's a strong word, but there's definitely maybe a pebble in the road now. Not so much in terms of quality, but in terms of a story trying to get too much in and of itself. Like the story isn't like flowing as much, at least with this one. I also felt there were certain things taken from different properties. Definitely something taken immediately out of the Disney vault, verbatim, which I thought in and of itself was hilarious. But if we're talking realistically, if we're giving it a scale, I'm going to be completely honest. As of right now, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, mid.
Look, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
The movie was good. It wasn't great by any means.
I'm not saying it was bad at all.
Right. The only issue I have with the movie
mm-hmm.
is that it's not a standalone movie. Like if you watch all the other Marvel movies, you can just watch that one movie and understand what's going on in that movie without having had to watch 50 other movies. Okay?
Yeah.
With Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's the first movie that kind of was like, we're changing a direction. We're introducing the
mm-hmm.
big bad in this movie for the next X, Y, and Z number of movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt a little bit out of place because it's like Ant-Man was supposed to be like a low-level hero, the guy who can stop a bank robbery. But see, here's the thing. Ever since Endgame, he's a top name right now, right? So I don't see why most critics are like, well, this movie sucked because why is Ant-Man doing all these space things? Well,
no.
Because he needed to. He upgraded. He's been promoted from being a low-level superhero to a big-time superhero. So it kind of makes sense to progress the character to go further and give him a different point of view on the aspects of superheroing.
I don't know if we should start with maybe some things that we did like about the movie. I think my problem was that, like, as I was like writing what I thought about this movie in general, I noticed like the things I liked about it was a much shorter list than things I didn't like about it. But the things that I did like about it meant a lot, and I felt like the more
they had more weight.
Like the more mid or meh things about this movie, they were smaller things that added up to, something that was just like not like it made the movie less enjoyable than it could have been.
Like MODOK. Like MODOK.
Well, that's actually the thing.
He is like top of my list of meh.
No, actually, I'll correct you with that. I think MODOK has done very well with this. But
I'm shocked you think
having said that, MODOK also falls into what I said earlier with something very blatant taken from a Disney property. And if we do, we're trying to keep this spoiler free, folks. Yeah. But if we do,
it's hard, by the way.
It's very hard. If we do manage to circle back to this and do give a spoiler enriched video, I'll tell you exactly what I feel and just give my big grimmiest grim version of everything how I feel. But again, with MODOK personally, I enjoyed what MODOK looked like. I also feel like, at least like from a comic perspective,
Yeah, I
very
agree with that,
misused
but it
here.
was so bad. It was so bad. The CGI on his face was
No, but
bad.
that's the thing though. MODOK is supposed to be like one of the ugliest sons of guns
No,
you've ever
this was
They
seen.
should have just left his mask on.
That is also true.
MODOK was part of a bigger issue with this movie, was that he was probably the biggest example of misplaced humor throughout the writing of the story.
Yes.
I mean, like, again, you know, we're not going to jump into like specifics with spoilers, but you know, there are definite moments in the movie having to do with him and not having to do with him where, you know, the tone will be a certain way, like more serious. It'll be a more serious scene, and then out of nowhere, just a stupid, jokey humor part will happen, and it's just like kind of just ruins the tone of like that specific scene where it could have been a great scene, and you're just sitting there like, all right, yeah, you had to get in your.
Here comes MODOK to yuck it up.
Quota. Yeah, it's like it's at this point like that you feel like they're trying to like reach a quota with like the jokes that they have to put
you know why they did that, right? The only reason I could think that they made MODOK like that is because they didn't have Michael Pena there.
That is something else we need to address in this.
How?
That's all right. If this review has any kind of spoilers in it, folks, we're missing Michael Pena in this movie.
No, everybody knows that he's not in it. So
Hey,
it's not really a spoiler.
But here's the thing, though. It's a sin.
It's
a god awful sin
and
that
it'll
he
be
isn't
felt
in this movie. And the three of us, at least here, and I'm almost positive Pancakes thought the same thing too. We all had the same opinion of how he could be in this movie, and was just blatantly looked over in this.
Yeah, when I say his loss is felt immediately when the movie begins, like it literally from the get-go, you're like, he should be here right now.
Especially because they literally did it for a previous Marvel movie that didn't need it at all.
Yeah.
It was Marvel, you missed up here. You tripped over the pebble for a hot second.
You know what bothers me the most about superhero movies? And it's so stupid, but it bothers me a lot.
Okay.
You're watching a superhero movie, right? They're wearing their mask and everything like that. Why every 3 seconds must you keep taking your mask on and off? Just fucking leave it on or leave it off.
I have an answer for this, but it's a bad answer, and I agree with both of you here.
I know what you're gonna say, but say it.
It's a contractual thing, I believe.
Yep,
contractual.
That's it.
You have to show your face a little bit for whatever reason, or they themselves, the actors, put it in their contracts as well. I am with both of you on this. I wholeheartedly agree. That's why in Mandalorian, in both seasons, we saw Mando without his helmet. That's why.
Yeah, but you know what? It's with Marvel though. It's getting to a shameless point though, because they're not even trying to explain anymore, like why they have their masks off. Like, so I mean, again, this probably isn't a spoiler because this is part of like the trailers that we've seen. Obviously, it's part of the premise. They get sucked into the quantum realm.
Well, if it's in the trailer, it's not a spoiler.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, so I'm just describing what's going on. So like they get sucked into the quantum realm. The whole cast, they're in the quantum realm without the need for ant suits. Hank Pym is there. Michelle Pfeiffer is there. Like they don't have Ant-Man suits or Wasp suits, and when they get there, I mean, this one short little one-liner in this movie that really annoyed me from Hank Pym. He's like, "We should be dead." Yeah.
Yes.
Are we going to explain why we're not dead, or we're just like we're just going to use that as the really quick excuse as to why we're just going to keep people's faces being shot?
In defense of the movie, though,
I can't wait for
this. They
this.
also said. He's like, I've been studying the quantum realm and I didn't even know all this stuff. She goes, well, you should have just asked me because I knew about it.
Okay, fine. No. Okay, here we go. Just from listen to me, Spade. You should have asked me. Woman, you didn't say anything at all in this movie. Things that could have been
Spoilers. Don't. You can't say much. That's why we're saying being spoiler free is very hard.
Okay.
So let's talk about the storyline. There's a simple thing about the storyline, right? Was it a good storyline? Like, what would you give it out of a 10?
It was enjoyable. I gave it like a solid 6.5 to 7 on a good day.
Max, no more than 7. I don't think
Yeah.
it deserved it.
If we're including the thing that I was just about to go big grim on, I'm gonna give it a 4 because it is something that could have been easily avoided. I'm literally just while watching this movie, I don't know if I was taken out of it or not, but I am just saying to myself, you know what? A spoonful of logic here could have gone a long way. But
Could have.
the neighbor clearly didn't have any. So we just have to go all throughout this zigzaggy line to get to the center of the.
But this is the biggest problem with the movie, though, and this is what I was telling you guys yesterday. What my thought is, like, that's like not just for this movie, but it's an overarching MCU problem. Is that we're getting to a point where this, and I've been saying this for a long time. You know the conversations we've had in the past. There is such a thing as too comic booky, and we are absolutely hitting that realm right now because, and this is why the reviews are as skewed as they are right now. You look at the Rotten Tomatoes, review score; it's very low. The audience review score is a lot higher. Everybody
a lot higher,
a lot higher, yeah.
40%
and this is why
Venom standards.
This is why a lot of people who are like critics like by day that they're doing this as a job. They're watching this as a movie, and they're not watching this as Marvel fans. They would just watch this disjointed from other series or movies that you do need to watch in order to fully understand what's going on here. And then they'll say to themselves, like, what is going on? Why do I have to care about half of this? Where did this come from? Who is that? What's an incursion? It's like all those little moving pieces that we now have, like, that are required of us to know about or watch in order to understand and fully grasp this movie. It's a problem. And I think, like Kevin Feige and Disney really need to take a step back and understand, like, hey, what made phases 1 through 3 so successful and so accessible to the masses? Because that's what's happening right now.
Right.
We're losing accessibility.
Right, but that's what I was saying, that this movie didn't feel like a standalone movie. You couldn't watch it from A to B and say, oh, this was good by itself. I don't need to watch everything else. This movie, you needed to know other things that were happening in order to say, oh, okay, I understand the storyline now.
But there is superhero fatigue, and this is why, like, when you have a reference, like obviously in this movie, there are references to other shows or movies that, like, post-credit scene, there is definitely a scene that, I'm not going to say it, but I'm just saying.
A post-credit scene.
Yeah, there's 2 post-credit scenes. I think they should know. But they should know that there are 2 post-credit scenes. I'm not going to say what it is, but one of them involves something from another maybe show, maybe movie. I'm not going to say, but
another
property. Watch that in another time. People would have seen that post-credit scene and think, "Oh, awesome! Now I have to watch that." Now people will see that post-credit scene, and they'll, like, the average moviegoer, they'll see that and they'll be like, "Oh, now I have to watch that." Like, it's a chore. That's the difference right now, and that's what's hitting all these Marvel movies.
This is what I was trying to allude to earlier with Feige or IGN at least saying that Feige is planning out the next, like, 3 phases happening. And I am just sitting here wondering, you need to worry about what you're doing right now. I know you say, oh, plans are wrapped up and everything. There are so many things that could come off the rails with this. You still need to look forward. Don't get me wrong, but you're looking 10 years forward right now. Meantime, you need to be paying attention to everything happening right now. And you losing sight of this is what's going to continue this.
Yeah. And Spade, I mean, I think you were talking about it before, like, just like in general, like, there's just a lot more moving pieces to this whole universe. It's on a, like when you were talking about how they introduced Kang versus how they introduced, like, Thanos, it's on a much more complicated playing field now. It's not the same as when they introduced Thanos really quickly in Guardians of the Galaxy, or when he had his post-credit scene in the first Avengers movie. Now there's just so many other things that have happened that it's just like, why is Kang here? Oh, because of this, and then that also happened this show or this movie, and it's just like it to the average moviegoer, they're not going to want to deal with that.
Right.
And that's
Johnny, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it seems somehow, some way, Pancakes has alluded to give us his opinion. Pancakes, take it away.
Hey everybody, Joey Pancakes here. Sorry I couldn't be with the guys today. I had a prior engagement, but I still wanted to send in this quick reaction video. We all saw Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantumania, the most recent MCU entry. Overall, I liked it. Definitely an enjoyable experience, but definitely up there as one of the more trippier MCU Marvel movie experiences. The main star of this movie, hands down, was Jonathan Majors. He was the scene stealer. He was established as the next big bad in the MCU. He was just so good. He was so vicious, cunning, but it was definitely built around him. It definitely still had his lighter moments. The trademark, which was an Ant-Man, big detail as it was going on. Paul Rudd and this cast was, I thought, pretty solid. Definitely took a step back. Michelle Pfeiffer's character, Janet, definitely explained her backstory. I'm glad, she spent 30 years down there, and with all the talk of the quantum realm, it made sense for them to go there. Didn't realize it was going to be an out of space experience. It looked like at times it was a Guardians movie with the Ant-Man cast in. Michael Douglas, amazing as always as Hank. Overall, I would give it 3.5 out of 5 stars and a B plus, depending on whatever grade scale you want to use. Wrap things up, I would say you guys should see it. Not the best post Endgame, but I liked it, and I'm excited what direction they have. Thank you guys.
Thanks a lot, Pancakes. Essentially to try to wrap up all this, guys. Final thoughts, final scores. What are we feeling about this? I said it right at the beginning. This is mid. If we're giving it a out of 10 right now, I'm gonna give it 5.5 to a 6. That
I was gonna go higher. I'm giving it a solid 7. I enjoyed it. I didn't get lost. I mean, I understand that I've seen all the movies, so that's why I didn't get lost on it. There was way too many. I mean, I want to call them dad jokes that shouldn't have been in there, but
yeah,
whatever. I guess I get the point what they were trying to allude to. But I give it a solid 7. I don't think it was a horrible movie like some of these reviewers are saying, but I think solid 7 is perfectly fine.
Yeah, like I said, on a good day, I'd give this a 7. On any other day, I'd probably give it a 6.5. I mean, you will want to watch this movie for it being fun. It's entertaining. I mean, what's his name?
Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors as Kang obviously steals the show. He's like 90% of the reason why you want to watch this movie alone.
That's true.
His performance, really steals it. So, I mean, if you're going to watch it for any reason, watch it for him. 2023 is definitely the year of Jonathan Majors. There's a lot more, a lot of other movies coming up this year with him that I can't wait to see, like Creed 3. So, that there are reasons to watch this movie for sure. It's not a bad movie. Well, depending on who you are, it's not a bad movie. If you're a Marvel fan, you'll enjoy it. If you're not a Marvel fan, if you're an average moviegoer, if you're taking your kids to see a Marvel movie to Ant-Man, you might think differently. So depends on where you're coming from.
Well, that sounds about right. That sounds okay. And right now, we're gonna go with okay. Everyone, thanks for joining us. As always, we've been the Final Credits. Come back in again sometime soon. We'll give you some more stuff. Until then, roll credits. We out.